All right. Welcome to Liticast. We are live today with Josh Kwartler of the Kwartler Manus law firm. As always, we are live. We are live on Liticast on litify.com/Liticast. We are on LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live as well. My name is Dove Slansky. I'll be your host for today. And we welcome Josh, as I mentioned, of the Kwartler Manus law firm. Josh, I won't steal your thunder. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dove. My name's Josh Kwartler. I work at the Kwartler Manus firm, but I'm actually not the Kwartler, which always shocks people. I'm not an attorney. I'm a technology guy. So this is really awesome to be invited onto Liticast to show you about a product that we've been working on for a while, if you saw my Liticast presentation. And yeah, so I guess.
Cool. So we have the Kwartler that's not the Kwartler. It can't be good for your ego, Josh.
No, it's okay. You know, I like working with my brother. People told me don't work with family, but it's been it's been a real bonding experience for us having something to talk about every day.
Important to know, older brother or younger brother?
Older brother.
All right. So you can get away with a couple of things there. That means.
Yeah, he's I won't say how much older he is. He won't like that.
Excellent. So at the firm, so you mentioned you're not the Kwartler, so not an attorney. I will put that out there, but you run sort of the business side of the firm. So COO of the law firm. Give us an idea of what you bring to the law firm. I know we're talking about technology today, but I want to focus and have people understand that what you think about a law firm is often not what's going on, right? It's not just a bunch of lawyers in the stuffy boardroom. There's a real business and technology side to it that you obviously oversee. I'd love to hear and have you tell our listeners a little bit more about your background and what you do day to day at the firm.
Yeah, so my background is in client services and technology. I came from a financial technology company where I was using Salesforce as an end user, and then kind of took the admin exam and started building up in that direction. But I think that the point you make about law firms not just being a bunch of lawyers running around is really kind of the shift that Litify really is bringing to the market, where people are saying, hey, it's more than just filing cases. We have to keep track of things, keep track of our clients, make sure that our ad spend is in the right place. And really, a lot of these things are things that lawyers don't want to deal with. They don't want to be, running reports. They don't want to be,
or quite frankly, are terrible at doing anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
it's okay. I'm actually a lawyer. I'm allowed to say
that. I didn't know that you were a lawyer. I thought you were a technology guy like me.
By background, I'm a lawyer, practiced for a couple of years, but I now sit on the technology side of the house and very, very happy to be doing so. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I do not miss dealing directly with clients. It's much easier to work with the aggregate data and to try to find solutions as opposed to trying to figure out why this person isn't treating or having an issue with their doctor.
Absolutely. All right. So when a COO of a law firm, right? So your role obviously is to manage the entire operation, right? Which means running the entire business. Obviously, within that is the legal work. We're not going to talk today about the legal work, right? Which is, clients that are treating or filing lawsuits. What we want to talk today about is just how you're using technology to better run and manage the law firm. There's a couple different ways. And you mentioned that you were first introduced to Salesforce right at a previous job in the financial sector. I guess let's start there. Let's touch on what you found, enticing about Salesforce. We're going to assume that's what led you to Litify as a firm, if not the only thing, but certainly part of it. So let's start there, and then we can get a little bit more into the technology that you are working on to help augment your firm's specific use of Litify.
Yeah, so the thing that I found when I was first introduced to it is that it just put everything that I wanted at my fingertips. As a user, I could have the data I wanted. I could have the quick answers, the text messages, all of that stuff that I needed to deal with my clients. But what was really cool is that, as I learned more about the product, I was able to reach out to my admin at my old company and say, hey, what about this? Can we add this thing? And, I was able to really kind of jumpstart my career by just looking at the platform's possibilities and adding different things to make everybody's life easier. And that's really my favorite thing about Salesforce is that if you can dream it, you can find a way to make your life easier. And that's what I'm all about.
Absolutely. And what's amazing, so you said you went out and you took the admin certification exam yourself, right?
Yep.
And again, one of the things that Salesforce, which is again speaks to why we chose Salesforce as the foundation for our product is the ecosystem, how easy it is to use it, and certainly to learn the system, right? So we talk about getting people involved with Litify, right? There's obviously training you're going to use Litify itself, but there's a whole world out there of learning how to use Salesforce. And the fact that you are not an engineer or a developer, right? But went out and took it out in an exam, and now you can understand the parts of Salesforce and help to build products on it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Salesforce is awesome that they give you trailheads. If you haven't checked out trailheads yet and you're interested in learning about Salesforce, it's a really interactive way to, dig into the guts of what it does and, how you can use it as a user, how you can customize it. And then it even takes you all the way out through building things, which is further than I ever went. But it just gives you all of this data and information, and I really encourage people to look into it further, because the more you know about it, the more you can see why Litify is such an open-ended product with so many possibilities.
Yeah, agreed. It covers, it's trailhead.com for anybody who wants to take a look at it. It covers really every aspect of Salesforce. Obviously, Litify has its own spin on things. We have our own training, our own UI, things that we've built. But from a sort of a core understanding of the platform perspective, to be able to get to a system like Litify, right, which allows you to build your own technology, build and run your own reports, deploy these things is pretty amazing. So tell us about your firm. I can say yours because it's the same last name, right? So the
Kwartler it's my firm. It's a family. I take ownership.
Exactly, it's in the family, right? So when your firm is looking for new software, this is a couple of years ago, right? So probably about 3 years ago, almost at this point. When your firm was looking for new software, what was important to you in terms of choosing the right next platform for the firm?
Well, interestingly, Litify actually predates me at the firm. My brother, the actual Kwartler, was looking into a way that he could combine his intake and his case management and his market spend in one place to give a single view of it. And when you're looking around, there's plenty of places that'll do intake, plenty of places that'll do intake and matters. But once you start looking to connect your Google ad spend or run your lead systems on it, everything else starts kind of becoming very customized, and Litify was just out of the gate ready to do it. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us for him, I should say, once he saw the product.
Cool. So and again, it speaks to that theme of being able to do everything in one place. I know is kind of the premise of what your technology is, right? If you can build something and make it easy for people at the law firm to use, and it encompasses several different things that they do anyway. It furthers the business in a number of different ways, right? So when we're looking at Litify, you want, your brother, as you mentioned, he was shopping around trying to find something that was all in one place. Let's continue that story, right? So now that you're at the firm, you wanted to bring some new technology in. So I know you talked about this last November, almost a year ago at this point, in person. Actually, what a different world that was. Remember in person things. Remember seeing people and being able to get eating food at the same time. What a thing.
Getting people's faces, like having them come up to you again and greeting them for the first time. That was my request.
Shaking a hand. But last year at our Liticast event, our user conference in November in New York, right? You spoke and you were talking about an app that you had built before, and I know we want to certainly take a look at it today. Before we do so, I want to talk about more about I guess the lead up to, right? What made you realize that, all right, the firm is using a piece of software, the firm is obviously successful, right? It's making money, it's helping clients. What led you to say, what, I should build something for the firm?
Well, I mean, I think it's basic problem solving. We had a practice which, we hold to of calling our clients while they're treating to make sure that they're treating, make sure they don't have any issues, make sure that they know we care, give them a chance to tell us about any new cases that may have come up with their friends and family. And that was always our practice. But, the way we would do it is we would call them, and then if they didn't pick up the phone, we would open up a Word document, print a letter, mail it to them. And then, they would call us the next day after it was in the mail. So there was this gap of people not answering the phone, and we wanted to solve that in a way that cut our mail costs down and increased our client interaction. And that was kind of the opportunity that we used to make this program, which we're now calling Hi There.
That's amazing. That's amazing. This is a problem that every single, well, it's really business wide, but we can focus on law firms, right? Every law firm suffers from the same problem. They all have their own sort of unique ways that they try to go ahead and fix that problem. Like you said, basic problem solving. Every law firm needs to talk to their clients while they're treating, right? If you're not, right, I'm not going to say it's malpractice. You're certainly not helping your clients out, right? If you are not in constant contact with your clients, you are not going to build them the best possible case. There's just no way you can possibly do it without having constant access to information. So your firm had a process, right, that revolved around calling them, and if they didn't answer, you leave a note and remember to call them back. And you'd be shocked at, well, I guess you wouldn't be shocked, but how many law firms do things the same way, right? What's important to them is you put a note in the system, and I look to see the last time I put a note in, and if it's more than X number of days, I know it's time to make another phone call. What an incredibly manual, labor-intensive process, right? And if you think about it, what's the number one source of complaints at law firms? My lawyer. That's it. My lawyer doesn't call me is the number one source of complaints. My lawyer, my case manager, the law firm in general doesn't call me back. So when you think about those two things, right, it's natural that you were looking to solve that problem, right? So operationally, right, the answer is we have to make more calls and track them. So tell us a little bit about, how I know there's a couple of different pieces as part of Hi There, but what are those pieces that you're using to help you streamline that communication?
Yeah, so I mean, the first part of any calling system is having a CTI connector and a phone call. So when you click the button in Litify, you never leave Litify. It dials the call for you. So you're already there. You already have the client's information. You're not typing it into a phone. You click it, it calls the client for you. Hopefully they pick up, but more often than not, they don't. So now you have the ability to log a disposition because we're still connected to Litify, and that disposition can then drive further action. So when they don't answer a follow-up call, then we say, okay, well, let's send them a text message, which is part 2, text messaging, which I think everybody on the Liticast has been telling you, if you don't have text messaging, you probably should.
Yeah, apropos moment, we actually just got a question written in. Do you think text messaging is important to keep in contact with your clients? And I wasn't going to bring it up when he wrote the question. I knew you were about to say just how important it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really call people. I like to text with them, and I think that especially people younger than us are even more extreme in that sense. So you got to meet people where they.
Whoa! You don't know how old I am.
Well, I know that there are people younger than you, and I know that they don't like to call people.
That is true. That is true. And it's something we hear all the time, right? We hear all the time from our law firms how they want to streamline that communication, right? Just like you said, and picking up a phone. A lot of people just simply don't do it anymore.
Right. So now you have this person who you want to make sure that they're doing okay. They're not answering your call. So the obvious next step to me is send a follow-up text. Hey, we tried to call you. Are you still treating? Is everything okay? And a remarkable amount of people respond to that very positively. Sometimes they'll give us extra information. Sometimes they'll give us absolute junk and we have to call them again or send a follow-up text. But they respond, which is the most important part. They're engaging with you. And then that really takes me to the third part of this where, okay, we started sending these text messages and the clients were responding and that was great, but then we needed a way to manage it because, going into each one and clicking, hey, did they open this? Did they respond? Clicking into the next matter, did they respond? Is completely inefficient. So really the core of Hi There just brings all 3 of those things, the call, text follow-up, and then a way to view all the data together into one place. And then, to finish up our cycle, if you don't respond to the text message, you don't respond to the phone call, well, we're going to send you a client contact letter and we're going to make that automatically generated so that the person doing the phone calls doesn't have to stop every 2 seconds and, type up a letter. We're going to make that automatic and put them into a batch letter that can be printed out at once.
Yeah, again, it's multi-touch, right? It's making sure that you go to your clients where they are as opposed to having them come to you. In the old days, right, where there was a time where phone was really the only choice. Then we had phones and emails, right? And a lot of firms had to do business through email. They wanted phone calls. But clients find email easier, right? I can send an email. I'm not going to say when I'm driving. I probably shouldn't, but a lot of people do. They can send it when they're on a train. They can send it when they're on a plane, late at night. It's not necessarily as dependent on time. They don't have to be as available. And they found that a great way to communicate. Texting is obviously a natural extension of that, right? And it's much easier. It's informal. It's quick. It's easy. And you can do a lot with a text message, particularly with pictures, right? You can ask clients to send you pictures of things. It's a great way to communicate, more so today. It's the number one way in which people in general communicate, right? It's text, it's Facebook messages, it's Instagram messages. To some people it's impersonal, to other people it's just simply the way of life. Right? This is just the new style of communication. This is how people communicate today. And if you're going to bring your firm to those streams and to those channels, it should follow, as you said it does, right? You're going to have a better rate of engagement with your clients than you would if you were simply just to keep calling and leaving them voicemails. My voicemail on my cell phone is full. It's full because I don't know who left me messages and I don't listen to them, right? Because I know they're not valued, because I'm not missing something. If you called me and I missed your call, I'm fairly certain you're going to call back. And I can't tell you how many other people are just like that. Voicemails today are a thing of the past, right?
Right.
You leave a client a voicemail, do they really listen to it, or are they calling back because they see a missed call?
Pretty much. I mean, my mom is always leaving me voicemails, and the voicemail means that, hey, this is actually something important. I'm never going to look at the voicemail, but the fact that she left me one means that I need to call her back.
Exactly. That's the accelerant. This is level 2, right? You got to get on the phone. And clients, I think, respond similarly, right? When you call a client and they miss a call from you, are they listening to the voicemail? Which, by the way, what does it say? It says, call me back, right? Yeah. Right? Or are they seeing a missed call from the office's number and they say, oh, my lawyer called me, I missed his call, I have to call him back. So short circuit that, send a text, they can actually read your question, they can respond to it, it's easier. And then you rolled it into management, right? Going back to your roots, right? COO, operating the law firm. If you can take those pieces and wrap it in a layer that allows you to manage that effectively, it's no longer disparate communication. It's no longer text messages living in the ether. We have a lot of firms, as we'll pivot to your demo here in a second, right? But to contrast what you've built, we have a lot of firms that send text messages out. Some firms literally have a phone they put in the office. And then everybody picks up that phone, true story, pick up the phone and they text clients from the same phone. And someone is responsible for checking that phone. They have a rotation for who takes the phone home at night so they can respond to messages. It is better than doing it from everybody's personal cell phone, perhaps. So there's one central line of communication, but it's certainly not good, right? They're not logged anywhere. I can't go back and find them necessarily. It's incredibly inefficient. If we replace that single phone with Litify, so all the messages come into one place, and again, because we are a CRM, we have their phone number, I know who texted me, now we're cooking. Right now I know what's happening with my clients.
Absolutely. And like, to people that say, I'm just going to do everything from my cell phone and work through all of that stuff. Well, what about when your paralegal has a call from a client? I mean, somebody is going to answer a call other than you, and it's good to be apropos of what the situation is, what the text message is, and that's why, not having just one phone is really, really important.
That collaboration is really, really key. The clients expect it from a law firm. They expect it if they talk to you, Josh, and I'm also on the case, I know what you spoke about, right? They don't want to have to tell you something, call back in and tell me the same thing all over again. There's an expectation that because they delivered it to the firm, that it's shared information, it's logged somewhere, they know about it. So let's go ahead, Josh. I think we're at a good point here. We've certainly set the table well for the use case behind your Hither app. Let's go ahead and show it. Let's get it up on the screen and you can sort of walk us through what it looks like to use this inside of Litify.
Sure, absolutely. So the Hither app sits kind of in the background, but where the story starts really is a follow-up call. Now, admittedly, this demo environment isn't set up with a CTI connector, so I can't, click down here where the phone would be and pop up the call and make it. I'm gonna have to log this manually. So, let's take my own case as an example here and say, okay, we called Josh, we had an unsuccessful follow-up, and we logged that. Okay, so now a couple things are happening in the background. We're going to, of course, leave it to a demo for things to start slowing down and breaking.
Yep.
couldn't happen to anyone else. Okay, so here's our text message. Safiet is my developer buddy who put together this environment.
Wait, so you logged a call and that text was just sent out automatically.
Exactly. So I log a missed follow-up. It goes into my activity log, and automatically a text message goes out to the client and says, hey, I'm checking to see how you're doing. And the client gets that. We keep track of when the last time we did a follow-up was, in case we called them about something else, but we didn't think to check about how their status was. So we're checking the last time we texted them, the last time we did a follow-up, and how many times we followed up with them in total, and what our current status is. So at this point, we're waiting for a response. Josh hasn't responded to us, so we can hold that, and we can see how many people are in that awaiting response situation. So let's just respond to that. Treating twice a week. Thanks. And luckily, autocorrect saved me from looking like a real slob on that text message. So here we are, and we've got one call. If we wanted to look at all of our matters that we have, we can just pull up a simple list view. If Dice would work consistently on intakes on matters that didn't have intakes, we could rotate this through a Dice queue. But we can see here are the people that we have. Here's the last time we followed up with them. Here's the people that we have to follow up with, and here's our status. So let's go back to Josh. Treating twice a week, great. That's really easy for dealing with one person. We know that they treated, we can log it. But what happens if you have 100 clients at the same time?
Yep.
Well, now
most law firms do, right? They're working with hundreds or thousands of people that are all doing the same thing, right? They're all treating at some various stage. They're making phone calls every day. First of all, this process here is fantastic already, right? I've simply logged a call, and then because of the type of call, I went ahead and automatically texted them. So now this Litify recognizes that I had one unsuccessful attempt of a certain kind, and now I'm going to use a different channel to go ahead and reach them. It looks like that channel was successful here.
Right. So now we want to talk about scalability here. So we build out the Hi There dashboard. SMS responded. So this is going to show us all of the matters where a client has responded. It'll give us the opportunity to log our notes. Let's see, client treating, that's slovenly typing, treating 3 times a week. And then we can click both of these and log our successful follow-up. So these people had a matter where they responded, and then we'll see that the response gets logged, or our notes about the response gets logged in the activity log. So we had a follow-up successful, okay, well, yeah, there we go. So the follow-up is successful. The client is treating 3 times a week. So we know.
And you change the follow-up status, it looks like, right?
Right, and now we know that the follow-up successful. We don't have to worry about them anymore until the next cycle. And should we take a second to talk about scheduling?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm a big fan of is flexibility. So the way that we set our next follow-up date is through a process builder. And I was really specific to make this so that, my firm likes to follow up once every week for the first 2 months, twice a week, or once every other week for the second, or for months 3 and 4, and then about once a month every time after that.
Sure.
But that might not be your firm. So we set it up a basic one where it'll kick it out a week from the last time it was called.
And we can stagger these the way in which you suggested, right? Which is once a week, then once every other week, then once a month.
Yeah, but so that's a very basic way to do this. But here's the example that we use in our firm, where we say, okay, for the first 8 follow-ups, we're going to do it every 7 days. For follow-ups 9 through 16, we're going to go every 14 days. And for follow-ups 16 plus, every 30 days, while they're still in the treating status. We use we use a status field to keep track of our clients, but you could do this by matter stage. You could do this by whatever you want, which is the whole point. With no training whatsoever, you can make a process builder that will set that next follow-up time so that you can kind of work to your firm's schedule and whatever you think is best.
This is fantastic. And this is the kind of stuff, right, that Salesforce as a platform lets you do. These process builders are really sort of high-level automation, but you can build them without being an engineer, right? You can actually put these pieces in place, and firms themselves can tweak these and adjust them on the fly. So as they're looking at the results of these things, they can see maybe I need to change those dates, or maybe your 7/14/30 works for you, but other law firms might want to be more or less aggressive, and they can actually change that up themselves
with no professional service hours or need to pay somebody to do it, which is, very important to me, that people have control without having to pay for it, which is,
we're all about that one, right? It's an incredible value prop to be able to tell a firm you can use the software. Not only can you use it, you can manage it yourself going forward. You don't have to have a standby on support. There's no maintenance. It's not like you have to put a ticket in for us to do it. You can build this out yourself. Josh, let's go back to your app for a second, and let's finish talking about just sort of the aggregate way of dealing with it.
Sure. So we looked at our people that responded to our text messages. We finished them up. We logged the treatment notes in there. But what about the people that didn't respond to us? So then we have our next tab, matters awaiting response. Okay, so now we have people. You can see the last text that was sent to them, and you can see the last time that we reached out to them. But at some point, you have to pull the plug and say, hey, these people aren't going to respond to the text message. And honestly, it's usually pretty quick that you can tell. We usually give it about 1 or 2 days for people to respond to a text, and then we say, hey, not going to happen. So in the past, what we would have someone do is they would go in, they would open a Word document, they would fill in the client's name, fill in the client's address, and basically generate a bunch of these client mailing documents. And one of the beauties
which is so crazy if you think about it. You called them, and because they didn't answer the phone and or text message, you're not going to put a letter in the mail to them. And I know you're not surprised, but I think a lot of other people will be surprised just how often that letter in the mail gets someone to respond.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that was one of the issues with the old way of doing things. Is that we would put the letter in the mail, and then they would call us back the next day, and then a couple days after that, they would get a letter that would say, hey, you got to contact us right away. And then they would
call you back annoyed saying, I called you, right? Why are you telling me to call you again? We say, we just spoke to you. Why are you calling the firm again? It's a lot of disconnect. So communicating, you need to have the communication in real time on 2 fronts, right? Phones and text messages are both real time. It matches, and it makes it easier for the client to follow along with the firm and keep pace with the firm as they are working with them.
Right. So that takes us to our awaiting response. And no system is perfect. So we created a way where, let's say one of your paralegals did talk to them, but they didn't log a follow-up. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity to say, okay, the client's treating twice a week. We don't need to send them a letter, and we can just save the successful follow-up. It'll go right back to logging it on the client's record, and everything, they go back into the cycle for the next follow-up. But for the rest of the people that didn't call us, well, now we need a letter. They never contacted us back. So we got to cover our butts. We want to make sure that they're okay. And, they're going to need a paper mail. So instead of typing up a bunch of Word documents, we said, okay, let's just put this into a single PDF that we can print out at once. Pretty straightforward. Here you go. Lisa, here's her address. And
wow.
Yeah. And then all of them, every single person will just be in one print. And you can print it out once. And I don't know if this is too early to say, but if there's interest in the app, our version 2 is probably just going to mail it out automatically, so you don't even have to, lick the stamp yourself.
That's incredible. That's incredible. There's a couple of customers that have been talking with us now, and again, we don't like to focus too much on sort of the COVID scenario here. I think we're all kind of done with it in our own way, whether it's physically or mentally, psychologically. But there is something to be said for the fact that communication, right, over the phone and a text message, you can do it from home. It might be difficult if you have to use your own home phone, if people still have those, or a cell phone. But if you're using a call connect, like you mentioned, that lives inside a Litify, now you have your office line wherever you are, right? It could be wherever you are, you're actually still in your office. Your email is there. This is the natural extension. You have to take a letter, generate it, and then mail it out without ever leaving your desk.
Absolutely. And, going back to the ability about customization, we said, okay, this is our client contact letter. It's probably not the same letter that you would choose. So let's make it customizable. Let's make it so it's easy for people to get into. Here's paragraph 1, 2, 3. You want to add more paragraphs? Go ahead. And here it is, as easy as typing it in with whatever type of rich text that you want, and that goes directly onto your letter, so you guys can customize that.
This is fantastic. I wrote a ton of these letters back in the day, and we used to just merge them out old-fashioned mail merge style, right? Dump a sheet into Excel, run a mail merge, print them, then we'd sit and fold them and put them into an envelope. To hear that not only can you outsource the mail portion, but that you can even generate, customer semi-custom letters on the fly is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is there anything else in the demo that I missed? I think that we kind of covered all of the bases on that.
This is fantastic. I mean, this really sets the stage for what you were talking about, Josh, right? The number one complaint that a law firm is the law firm doesn't call me back. Your law firm had a problem in that managing that callback, even if you were doing it right, managing it was difficult, right? Even if every employee was adhering to the way in which you wanted the firm to run, managing it was hard. So this system does two things, right? It not only closes that gap in terms of making sure you get that callback, but it also closes the management gap so you can make sure that you are properly managing the firm.
Right, and then I forgot to mention the last thing, you don't have to pull the demo back up, is when you send the client contact letter, a activity goes into your timeline that says that a client contact letter has been sent. So that way, if a client ever comes back and says, hey, you never contacted me, we've got the call, we've got the text message, we've got the fact that we sent you a client contact letter, and anything beyond that, I don't know what you're expecting from us.
I mean, it speaks for itself, right? The idea here, and the fact that you were able to build this on your own, right? And nothing makes we at Litify here happier, right? When our customers go out and innovate on top of the platform themselves, an incredibly powerful statement, right? It means you're happy, you're successful, you're using the software to its potential, and you're going one step further. You're sort of outrunning us to a certain extent, saying, hey, there's a need that my firm has. I know that if I put a product request into Litify and I want you guys to build it, it'll hit the roadmap, you'll do it, but it might be a few months to a year. Your firm needed to do it now, as you've identified. The ability to create this and get this into the hands of the firm in a matter of days or weeks is a big, big difference than the way we used to operate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that being able to build things on your own, or I guess it's really not fair to say that we built it ourselves, because I think that the way that you should think about building products in Salesforce is, look for somebody who's already doing something. So in our case, we had SMS Magic, who is a great text message platform. Then you need to, first you define the problem, then you find somebody who's doing as much of it.
There's lots of problems. You don't have to look too hard to find them, right? Operationally, law firms are riddled with problems. They know how to practice law. They don't know necessarily the best way to run a business. So identifying that is key, right? You found the technology you wanted to use. You found the problem you wanted to solve.
And then, it gets to what you were saying, where we had a partner in SMS Magic who, built a great text messaging platform, but the same way that you can request a feature from Litify and they'll get to it when they get to it, SMS Magic said, hey, this is really outside of what we're looking to specialize in. And then, so you need, maybe a third partner if you don't have an engineering core. And for us, it's Micronet BD. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy George, who back at my old financial technology company was the admin who suggested that I, study and learn about it.
Fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, he really set me on my new career. And then later he left our old company and started Micronet BD, which is our partner. And, it's important to have a good partner who, wants to understand your problems and have a hand in fixing it, and also a stake in fixing it. So, bringing Hi there to market, we have both our law firm knowledge of what the problem is and how to solve it, and their technical skills to actually get it done, and their support, which is ever so critical to fix things when things go wrong. And I got to give them a lot of credit for helping us put this together.
Fantastic. So, Josh, I think, it's sort of a natural wrapping point over here. I'd love to be able to tell people, right, that they can do the same thing. I know they can, right? And I think you sharing the how you did it is important. Not only the why. Why you did it is because the firm had a need, but the how you did it is important, right? Identifying the problem, finding a partner to work with, and then going out and bringing this to market. The Salesforce ecosystem is rich with people who know how to build things on Salesforce. Josh obviously has some connections. Our professional service department builds things for our customers. There are plenty of Salesforce consultant shops. There are plenty of people out there that are always looking to build and create new things on Salesforce. Take advantage of it. I guess, Josh, well, as we wrap here, let's let people know a good way to contact you. Probably best by email.
Yeah, please, shoot me an email. I'm just addicted to looking at it. It's a problem, so you'll get a response way too fast. If you have any interest in, getting high there for yourself, our partner SMS Magic has generously offered a 2-week trial for their product, and we're happy to offer high there, for 2 months, just for people to play with and see if they like it. If you don't have a text messaging service, you should already have SMS Magic, so that's really, not an issue for most firms, but I would love for people to play with it. Tell me what works. Tell me what doesn't work. The way we're going to build this and make things better is by all working together and, giving our feedback on things. So, please shoot me an email if you have any interest at all. If you want to build something yourself and you need a good partner, I'm happy to connect you with George and Micronet. Or you can use your.
Josh is currently taking investors into high there as well, looking for some seed, hopefully moving towards the Series A. No, all kidding aside, Josh, thank you. I think this has been tremendous, right? We always try to trumpet our customer success, and you guys have taken it one step further. You've taken our platform. Not only have you installed it and you're using it, and we can't thank you enough for being early adopters and the success that you put into it, but to be able to build something on top of it really speaks volumes, not just about our technology, but about the way in which you're running the firm. I encourage anybody who wants to do something similar, reach out to Josh. He's always more than happy to talk through use cases. I know I've personally spent a lot of time discussing these things with him, things that we're building here at Litify. Josh had a hand in ideating behind some of these. So if you have any questions or stuff, please definitely reach out to him. If you need a lawyer in his area, reach out to his brother. Be more than happy to help you as well. With that, we'll sort of wrap it here. Again, thank you. We've been live on litify.com, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live. The recordings for our shows are hosted on our website. You can go to litify.com/Liticast, and you'll find the recordings of all of our previous sessions. If you have questions for Josh, his email address on the bottom of the screen. If you want to reach out to anyone at Litify, you can email us. We have an actual open Slack community. I'd encourage everybody to join. There's always some great communication going on in there in terms of customers or just even non-customers, people who are looking to just discuss technology in the legal space. It's open, it's free. You can find a link to it on our website as well. You can join our Slack community, participate in some of these discussions. A great way to communicate with other people in the space. Josh, thank you very much, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me. I've got something else in the works that hopefully I'll be launching next year. So another Liticast if we can't get another Liticast going.
All right, excellent. Thanks so much, Josh. See everybody later.
Later.